Okay, first of all, I want to welcome everybody to the second signing day of this year's class. Signing day is always a special day for you as a university. It's a special day for the young men and their families choosing a school, and we're definitely excited about these young men that have decided to attend Colorado State, to get an education, to play football. I think you're going to find that it's going to be a great representation all the way across the board. Fine young men, and good football players that are going to represent us the right way. Look forward to coaching and look forward to getting him here this summer and going to work. But really proud of our coaches. I mentioned this in December 20th on the first signing day. We were shorthanded, and really proud of the coaches that were on board that did an outstanding job. Proud of the second signing day, being able to sign some guys, hire staff. I thought we did a great job of finding some guys, building relationships. Coach Johnson did an outstanding job on the offensive line, being able to get 3 offensive line commits in here and get them signed today, something that we definitely needed to address that need. And, looking forward to working in the future with these guys. And, today finished this class and got started on next year's class, talking to a few guys on the phone. It's a never-ending process, but good to get day 2 signing day done for 2018 class. Questions?
Now that you've gone through the 2-tier recruiting class, what are your impressions of it now? How it worked? Did it go the way you wanted? Did you adjust?
Well, first of all, I don't know if signing day or recruiting ever goes the way you want it. If it was, we'd just be drafting guys. There's a process in recruiting. It never goes the way you want it. It's constantly changing, not just on a daily basis, but an hour-by-hour basis sometimes. But, a little bit of stress with the first signing day with how our bowl schedule works with our conference, playing an early bowl game, missing a week and a half on the road recruiting, missing a recruiting opportunity weekend, but it just, required a little extra effort from our guys and our support staff, and everybody chipped in and able to sign 17 kids. And, stressful at that time, but it took a little bit of stress off moving into the second signing day, because now these guys were not just committed, they were signed, and they're coming to Colorado State, and we did not have to worry about somebody coming in and maybe poaching some of our commitments. These guys were signed, and quite frankly, if we wouldn't have had that signing day, there's several guys that possibly, we might not have been able to sign at the second signing period. They allowed you to focus a little bit more on the remaining spots that we had, narrow your focus, and which was good. Able to cover a little bit more ground. So, after the first, I'm sure there's some things that we're going to discuss and tweak, maybe the timing of the first one. But overall, I liked it. I feel like we got a good class in. I feel like guys that are in really, really good standing academically, and that's something that fires me up as well.
Is that a big difference, just having the academic side of things, because you can't miss now?
Yeah, with the limitations on scholarships, sometimes you got to be, you got to be careful of, sometimes they were signing to sign a guy and he was going to JUCO, and you knew that. Now, a lot of that depends on the numbers that you have available. You might only have 20 seniors, but you're going to sign 23 or something, and know that a couple of these guys are going to make it and going to go to junior college and try to get them back on the second go around. But, with the limitations of the 25, and we had a full class to sign, we could not, we wanted to sign people that we felt, it's never 100%. Guys still got to finish their senior year, but felt really, really confident about getting into school academically. And, and then when you sign guys on the early signing period, a lot of times you're signing guys without their first semester of their senior year grades. So we had to do our homework and know their progress reports going in and where they stood and their test scores, and felt good about really all these guys. And over half of our guys have already, finished their application and been admitted to Colorado State already. So that's a good sign of the quality of the kid that we signed.
Mike, obviously the big focus on the defensive side of the ball in that early signing period kind of carried over into today. How excited are you for the defensive potential of this class?
Well, we need to address some needs defensively as far as sheer numbers. you generally, everybody does it a little bit different, but you have 85 scholarships, and sometimes the numbers fluctuate from year to year, but, usually we're 41 on offense, 41 on defense, and then you have 3 specialists. The way your breakdown of your offense and defensive side of the ball and your per position, it generally run the same from team to team. It might be a little variation of some guys might carry a few more receivers than tight ends. Some guys might carry a few more linebackers than D linemen, depending on if they're 3-4, 4-3, or if they're a spread team or a team that uses a tight end. But generally, the overall numbers are 41 and 41. And our numbers coming back this year were higher on the offensive side of the ball. So we had to address more issues on the defensive side of the ball with graduation. And quite frankly, we've had too much attrition on the defensive side of the ball the last couple of years of guys we signed. They got here and didn't make it for whatever reason. They lost their opportunity to be a part of this program, or guys that we signed that didn't get in school, that didn't qualify. And we had to address that, and I thought we did a great job of that defensively. We've got some talent coming in on that side of the ball. Really, upgraded our depth and our talent on the defensive line. Probably the most numbers that we've had since I've been here. 2 linebackers that we signed Daquan in the first and Cameron in the second are athletic guys that can run, that can bend and strike. So I feel good about that. And then the 2 high school corners that we signed, Rashard Ajay and Malcolm McGee, are 2 athletic kids that got length and that can run. I'm excited about those guys. So feel good about the defensive side of the ball. After this signing class, there are a couple pieces that, we need to fill out moving forward. We'll have a couple spots left that we'll look at some other areas of, could be some junior college kids that are still out there, could be a grad transfer, could be guys on this team that have earned a scholarship. So we'll get that figured out and be ready to go in a couple months.
Is that tricky, like you say, trying to fill needs that you had, but make sure you don't kind of create more holes down the road, make sure you're spread out right?
Yeah, you got to be. There's certain guys that we had to turn away that wanted to come to Colorado State and wanted to sign a scholarship or commit, but we had to save a number for a need that we needed at another position. And we're over a couple areas. You're like that every year. You play with your roster and you manage, but you can't get too far in any hole by just signing sometimes the best available player all the time, because we can't waive or we can't cut somebody and pick somebody up in free agency. We've got who we've got, and we've got to have the numbers to be able to function in the scheme that we're going to play offensively and defensively.
The 2 positions that you're missing in this class look to be running back and quarterback. Is that concerning at all, or does the fact that you got Judd as a walk-on last year help maybe the quarterback?
Running back, I'll address first. Your number is usually 5 to 6 there, depending if you're going to play with a fullback, which we do, Adam Prentice. So people sometimes put fullbacks and tight ends in the same group, but we play with a fullback, so he's kind of in our running back. But we have, I always want to call him BC, but Isaiah Matthews, Marvin Kinsey, Darius May, Body, and then Marcus McElroy. We have 5 scholarship tailbacks. That's been my number since I was at the University of Georgia. That's a healthy group of running backs, and all these guys have experience. Now Marcus, going through his deal, will be back after spring practice, and we feel 100% confident about that. But that's 5 strong tailbacks at that position, and that's our number for tailback. Now, you'd like to have a couple walk-ons. We got Drew Harris, who's a walk-on running back for us, and then we've got Prentice, who's a scholarship fullback, and Nate Ryken, and then there's always a linebacker or 2 that you could put in there at fullback. But I feel good about the running back position. Quarterback, my number's 4. We're at 3 scholarship quarterbacks right now. I'm not going to comment on guys that did not sign here, but obviously, we missed out on a couple and chose to go to other schools, and that happens. But there's still, there's other options out there that I've already been talking to since, the first signing day, that I'll continue to talk to and explore those options, and we'll try to get 4 scholarship quarterbacks on the roster by signing day.
The other part, I guess, if we're going to meet the new part of your staff today, were you happy with the way that you were able to put together your coaching staff and And did you and John work together to put together the defensive side?
Extremely excited about our coaching staff, the guys that we've hired. First of all, Dave Johnson is a guy I worked with from 2001 to 2008 at the University of Georgia. There's not a better teacher in America of the little things and the details, and has gone on to do great things at every place he's been as an offensive line coach, and most recently as an offensive coordinator at Ohio University. They were prolific on offense and a balanced football team, a lot like we are, run the ball and be able to throw the ball. That quarterback was a little more athletic than ours, but they still had balance. Very excited to get him on board, and wanted to get him on quickly because of the need for offensive linemen. We lost some offensive linemen there when the transition of when Coach Friend left, and Dave did an outstanding job of finding guys and building relationships and being able to sign 3 guys that have tackle length to our program, which I'm excited about. And then, the defense was signing so many defensive guys. I think 12 is what we signed in the first signing period. I could take a little bit more time on the defensive staff, and interviewed a lot of guys and settled on Coach John Janzik, a guy I worked with from 05 to 09, I believe, at the University of Georgia. Wealth of experience, coached a lot of football at all different levels, recruited at different levels, outstanding fundamental teacher, and our guys are going to play with passion. And then we sat down and we started talking about candidates that would fit Colorado State and fit our scheme. And every interview that we did together. First it was me and him, and then it was me and him and another defensive coach. And it was, so as we added staff, more people sat in the room, but it was a collaborative effort. It wasn't Coach Janzik says, I want to hire this guy, this guy, this guy. Okay, you got it. It was, guys that I felt were going to fit us and fit that room defensively. But excited about all those guys. We got experience. We got youth. We got guys that got a lot of passion about being great, and those guys want to be here. Both coordinators I've worked before with. There's familiarity. They know who I am. They know what I'm about. They know what I expect, and they're going to be ready to get on the same page and go to work.
Mike, you talked before about one of the things you really wanted from a defense was that daily competition. Obviously, Janzik had that, at least for 1 year at Georgia, where he was before you were O coordinator. Was that a big part of it too? Was he already had that interaction every day in practice with him and going your offense against his defense?
Well, that's kind of how we try to do things around here is compete, and he knows. I'm the same way I was at the University of Georgia. He knows we're going to compete at practice. There's going to be there's competition going on right now in our off-season, conditioning, and it's sometimes it gets to be offense defense that way in the spring. But I think we were competitive and still being able to work together and know that you got to compete on the field to get better. But he when I said this is what I'm looking for, he knows that already. I'm looking for. I want us to be competitive. I want us to play with passion. I want us to play with great effort. I want it to be important to us to play good defense. And, he's wanted to be here, and I'm glad he's here.
Can you comment a little bit on Brian Applewhite and Ronnie Lutzen both get promotions? What else are they going to be asked to do with?
Well, first of all, just the offensive staff, I thought they did an outstanding job, last year. And I've sat down with the offensive staff and told them my number one priority was to handle, the hiring of the defensive staff first and get that into place. And I was going to come back and visit with them about where we're at and where we stand. And I know y'all have already done an open records request, but for those guys, and I don't know who did it, somebody listed some stuff out there, but all those guys, are going to be rewarded with a bump in their pay on the offensive side for what they've done and the production that we had offensively. And then just, after hiring the whole defensive staff and sitting back, I decided to make Dave Johnson the offensive coordinator. I wanted to keep it the way that we've been doing things. I've been doing things the last 7 years, where we have an offensive coordinator, and he's running the meetings. He's the primary job as the offensive line coach, and all our coaches are involved. It's from Ronnie Lutzen to Alvis Whitted to Joe Cox to Brian Applewhite to myself in that room. But there are times that I got to step out and do other things a lot of times, but I feel comfortable with those guys in that room. but Dave will handle the day-to-day organization and planning, but the game planning and the play calling will still be me. Ronnie Letson has been a guy that handles a lot of things for us off the field. He took over our camps last year, the structure of our team camps, our individual camps, a lot of stuff that goes along with head coaching duties, and done an outstanding job. And we wanted to reward him. Brian is a recruiting coordinator at Louisiana Monroe, and with the transition of losing Jeff Marson to UCLA, and then just add another person in that room to help Daniel Bush, who I think has been an excellent hire for us, and Emily, who's already on staff. And now we've got another guy to help in that room and coordinate. And Ronnie had kind of been that role without the title a little bit, because he did that for us at University of Georgia. I just put a title on that. But, whether they got a title or not, I can't say enough about, the guys on the offensive side of the ball and what they've done and the production that they had last year.
With Gibson, he's your special teams coordinator. There's nothing in that role listed on his bio, but there has to be something in the interview you found that gave you confidence with that job. What was it?
Well, he's a linebacker coach. Okay, a lot of times people think, special teams coordinator, that guy does it all. And in fact, it's, he coordinates and plans the practice plan. Every coach besides the offensive line and the defensive line coach and the quarterback coach, except when you go field goal block, is heavily involved in special teams at every level, whether they have a special teams coordinator or not. And the two guys that are probably mostly involved with it usually are your tight end coach and your linebacker coach, because those two positions are playing on every special team. So he has vast majority of experience in special teams, and he will coordinate our daily plan. We'll have an individual coach in charge of each special team unit. He will be in charge of kickoff return. Brian Applewhite will be in charge of punt. Joe Cox will be in charge of kickoff. And Eric Lewis will be in charge of punt return as far as presenting and being the head of the drills, but the overall head of the whole coordination of it will be Coach Gibson. All right. Is that it? Good.